Lesson number 4, Additional Features. Multi-location. Accounts receivable. Before proceeding with an overview of our accounts receivables and payment functions, let's take a moment to review the additional features of our software. Our software was developed to support both individual and multi-campus schools. The purpose of this lesson is to understand the features of Bolt school management software in regards to payments and accounts receivable for both individual location and multi-campus commercial driving schools. The Bolt software was designed and developed in such a way that it allows administrators to work with several separate locations or campuses. How does this work? Suppose a school has several yards and offices with different instructors at each location, and different managers working in the offices of each locations, but they are all part of the same school. For example, you need to give the school manager the opportunity to view and work only with the students of their location. Students need to be given the opportunity to only sign up for driving sessions at their location. Instructors should only have access to the students they are working with directly. While at the same time, the software can also allow administrators to view and work with students from other locations as well. For example, when an instructor works at adjacent locations or a school manager accepts payment from a student that is not enrolled at their location. Our software supports all these features, and multi-campus support is included in the package by default. To demonstrate these features with our software, we have added several mock locations. Now there are 3 of them: Tacoma, Kent, and Seattle, Washington. We have also transferred Mary and Andrew to the status of students. There are several nuances that should be noted. The first being that applicants are not assigned to a specific location. Due to applicants completing the enrollment online, there is no way to know for which specific location they are applying. Secondly, the location is assigned to the student based on the location of the manager signing the enrollment agreement. The location is subject to change if needed. And lastly, in multi-campus mode, the super admin is not linked to one specific location. When viewing reports, including accounts receivable, the super admin can view and work with students from all locations combined. The super admin role means a top-level administrator, usually the owner of the school, who can then create second-level administrators or change their access rights, roles, or assign them to a specific location. So, let's look at the diagram on the main page of the administrator's account profile. In the multi-location mode, it reflects not just the dynamics of enrollments, but is also broken down by location. This can be seen in the different colors of the chart columns. The chart for July is gray. Therefore, the students are categorized without any reference to a specific location. As you may recall, we are working under the super admin access, which is not linked to any specific location. The enrollment agreement for Mary and Andrew was signed by a super admin, in this example, which means that it was not assigned to a particular location. This example is fairly common, as the owner of the school, you may have processed student enrollments for students who will be training at a different location. To assign a location to a student manually or to change the location, you must first go in the student's profile. We access the student profile from the previously mentioned Student List tab. Click on the column of interest to see only Mary and Andrew, or simply open the student list. As you can see, John appears in the list with the other students. From the student list, let's go to Mary's profile where we can view her personal information. Here we see that the location has not been assigned yet. Mary will be assigned to the Kent location. Click on the Update button to save these changes. Let's go back to Students List using the Quick Access toolbar. Locations are also visible in this report and are located to the right of the Student ID key. As you can see, for example, that Andrew has no assigned location yet. Let's open this student's profile, go to the tab with his data and assign him to the Seattle location. Don't forget to save your changes by clicking the Update button. Back on the main page, you will notice how the chart has changed. The distribution of enrolled students by location is now clearly visible. The owner of the school has the opportunity to evaluate the performance of a particular location both separately and in comparison with other locations. It's clear and convenient. For the owner or location manager who is in his virtual office all day, this is also an additional tool to determine the effectiveness of a particular marketing campaign or an indicator to increase enrollment efforts. As you can see, our software has been thoroughly developed with no random functions. Working with accounts receivable begins with the creation of an accounts receivable report. The link is located in the upper left corner of the quick access toolbar. Let's generate this report. We think that by this point you already understand the relationship between locations and accounts receivable, locations and enrollments, locations and other reports within the Bolt School Management software. As you now understand, locations are just a unit of analysis. For example, it is advisable to analyze accounts receivable not only in dynamics, but also in the context of locations. This approach gives an understanding of which manager is responsible for the processing any outstanding balances, and in a way, an indicator of the effectiveness of their work. So, the accounts receivable report is a cumulative representation of students' outstanding balances due in relation to individual locations. If your school operates from only one location, then your report will be created with only 2 columns. The first is the outstanding balances of students that are not linked to a location, and the second is your main location. The report also calculates the cumulative amount of all outstanding balances for each of the locations, and shows them in the diagram for comparison purposes. The diagram is explained below. This is basically a list of students having outstanding balances, categorized by last name, with outstanding balances. The report also contains data on the average amount of a student's outstanding balance. This was done to compare outstanding balances by location. Also, the percentage the outstanding balance owed in relation to the amount paid is displayed on the right column. If you need to work directly with a specific student, for example, with Andrew, then simply click on his name, and the system will redirect you to the payments section of his profile. Let's pause here. Usually, the school's accountant works with the payment section, or a manager of a separate location if the duties of accounting have been assigned to him. The purpose of this section is that after receiving a payment from a student for an outstanding balance, it must be entered into the system. Thus, student payments are recorded. To add a payment to the system, select its type. The payment indicator will change according to the selected type. Next, you must enter the date the payment was received, whether it is a cash payment or credit card, and the amount received. In the description, you can indicate the voucher number or check number, and the method it was received. In any case, the information provided in the description should be sufficient for its retrieval in the bank statements in the future. A good rule of thumb in finance and accounting is that of writing descriptions. Make it a rule to add important details regarding payment details, as this will help in the future. So we've added some new payment details to Andrew's account. This will affect his outstanding balance, and be reflected when creating various analytical reports for the school, as well as in the student's personal account. Let's return to the main page and generate an accounts receivable report again. The changes we made will be visible. They will affect the outstanding balance of the location as a whole. Let's add a few more payments for Mary. While you watch how we do it, we will tell you about the payment systems that can be implemented using Bolt School Management software. The most secure electronic payment system at the moment is Stripe. Many of our clients use their services. This information is not an advertisement, and we are not paid for mentioning these products. With Bolt School Management software, we are able to integrate sites like Stripe or PayPal with the Bolt software. Using one of these products, you will be able to receive payments automatically. This is a nuance in terms of accounting, as you still have to manually correlate the payment received with each specific student. Payment amounts are usually the same for all students. In addition, there is a time lag in depositing money to your account, as it may take up to 3 business days from the time of enrollment. This will inevitably lead to the need for an accountant to conduct some research in terms of which students enrolled and made each particular payment. This also requires some work for accounting to enter the payments manually into the system. Therefore, we summarize the following: Stripe, PayPal, etc. can be integrated into Bolt school management software, but this is not an automated process. Also, external financial platforms withhold up to 3% of the payment amount on average. So whether to use these services or not, we will leave this question to the owner of the school for consideration. Thank you for your attention and see you at the next lesson.